G'day everyone, it's Joe Sweeney here from StoryWeaver Games, and I've got some great news. Now, some of you would have gone through the Photoshop training for creating galactic maps that I produced recently. So what I did is I contacted Simon and Ralph from Profantasy and said, hey, let's build a galactic scale mapping tool for Profantasy Campaign Cartographer. They said yes, and I sent them over a whole bunch of the assets, my various planet assets and backgrounds and so forth, and they put together a wonderful wizard that lets you really, just absolutely power through creating a galactic scale map, very similar to the one I created in Photoshop, but instead of taking hours, it'll take you about 15 minutes. So here you can see that they've created this wonderful new toolkit in Campaign Cartographer. It's available through the Cartography Annual, April, so it's available right now. It's packed with great content, which I created, thank you very much. And you can use this to very, very quickly create your own galactic maps for high space or, in fact, for any other science fiction space opera you may have. So I'd like to walk you through creating your first galactic map. And you can compare how difficult this was compared to that advanced Photoshop tutorial. So of course you will need to download the annual, which means you'll need to be subscribed to it. There's going to be a cost for that. But you download the April 2017 Galactic Mapping Wizard. Let me show you how to create your own galactic map in absolute record time. What you'll do is you'll start by clicking on the new button here. We won't bother saving changes to that. You select Cosmographer, decide setting selves, and next. Depending on how you've got your campaign cartographer set up, you'll have many, many different basic templates to choose from, starting points to choose from. We want to go to the high space galaxy map, and we've got two options here. You can go for the landscape, which would be good for a computer screen, or portrait, which would be good for a book or a page. So I'm going to go for the landscape for this one, since it's different from the map which I produced for the actual high space book. Click on next. So you've got all of these settings here. You don't really need to worry about a title, but I will give it one. Let's call this Galaxy X. Copyright StoryWeaver Games 2017. Let's go next. And here's where it gets really cool. I actually created a whole bunch of different galaxy backgrounds for this kit. So if you click on here, you can select different galaxy backgrounds to suit the type of environment that you're looking for. I would like one with quite a few different arms. I'm thinking I might go for that number one. I'm going to put some plants up there. That's absolutely perfect. Click on next and then finish. Obviously, you now need to save Galaxy X somewhere. I'm going to place it into my high space mapping folder, high space maps, Galaxy X, perfect, save. And there you have it. We're now armed with a background, galactic background for our maps, much easier than trying to build it yourself. As per the Photoshop mapping tutorial, the first step is to build our sectors, to put them down on here. These have been called areas of influence. You can simply get to it by clicking on this. Now it inherits the color that you have up here. Now select a different color. There we go, darker blue. And then I'm going to click, so I'm going to put a and I'm going to merge two different empires there. So those are some aligned empires, and let's go for maybe a yellow as well. And we'll put them smaller empire along here. And maybe we'll go for a red empire as well. There we go. Okay, so now that we have our areas of influence drawn, let's see what they look like when we fade them in. Great guys at Profantasy have already set us up with this. So we just click on OK. And you can now see that and I'll zoom in a bit here. You can see that this sheet effects for our sector areas will automatically make this a little bit transparent and will automatically draw that white border around them. So very similar to what we had in Photoshop, but we can now recolor them in different ways. So excellent, that makes that nice and quick. The next is to use the planet symbols to create basically icons for the sectors. Now remember in the original map, we used a planet to represent the entire system. It's the home planet of that system. So to do that, we're going to, you can actually see the little plus symbol here. That means that there's multiple planets in this area. So let's add a couple of standard planets. I've got one here. I'm going to whack it right in the middle of that. I've got another one here. I'll put that in the middle of that. We'll go for a different one. Place him in the middle of that circle. Because we've got the snap turned on, it's very easy to place these planets directly in the center of where we placed our sectors. So that makes things even easier. So there you go. So there's some planets. Now let's add some additional planets around those. So those were all of our water type planets. Now, because you've got the little R here, it means that every time we click, we'll get a different planet. So I'm going to add a couple more planets into some of these sectors. Add one there, there. You can also load in other planets from different symbol sets. Let's add a few dark planets there. Ooh, that's a nice one on the rim there. So you can use any of the planets that are available in the Profantasy catalog that you may or may not have installed. But this set comes with all the planets which I created for high space. So there you go. We've got our planets in. Heck of a lot faster than doing it in Photoshop, that's for sure. Okay, now we're going to add the wormgate lines. Those of you who looked at the particular tutorial on wormgates in Photoshop noted that it's really quite cumbersome to create curves in Photoshop. You've got a lot of power, but it's cumbersome. I'm really excited by this. The guys at Profantasy have actually gone beyond what I did. I had them all just basically plain white. They've actually enabled you to have different color lines depending on what color you have selected. So if I was to choose white, you can see that, well, you can't see that line there, but it's white. Just trust me, or I could make it yellow. There we go. I'm going to use this translite connected item here, and I'm going to zoom in on my map a little bit more now so I can build these worm gates a little bit easier. So I'm just clicking 1 point to 1 point, 1 point to 1 point, and 1 point to 1 point. So there you go. These three external systems all connect to the main system in this sector. And then I'm going to connect this sector. And you notice that just by clicking in the middle there, it automatically creates the curve for me, which is exactly what I want. So I'm just going to connect all of the, oops, that one's not quite sectored correctly. And again, because I've got grid snap turned on, it's very easy for me to align these lines. And I'm going to zoom in a bit there just to get all of these, make it easier to work with. It's very easy to align them into the center of each planet, something which again is not that easy with Photoshop. So if I wanted to make a curved line from here, I would click to start, click in the middle, left click there, and then right click to finish. You can see this is absolutely just going great guns. And because this is a campaign cartographer, all of these lines are automatically going onto the correct layers. And sheets for that matter. So basically no more trouble having to manually find all of those sheets and define them. It's just all done for you. Makes things very much easier, I can assure you. There you go. Now, not the best galactic map in the known universe, but it'll do for the moment. And again, let's redraw this now and see how it's looking. There you go. Now, one of the things that is brand new for this mapping tool is that I created a bunch of tactical symbols. These are, and it'll pay for me to zoom in nice and tight. These are symbols that are designed to go around a planet to represent certain things in the high space universe. And you can use these in other universes as well. So for example, this symbol here, and if you put the mouse, if you've got the snap on, put the mouse there, it will represent that there is a P-tile or basically a police force here. This one here represents that there is a military installation, what we call a field installation. This one here is medical, Foxin capabilities. This one here is mercenary fleet, and so on. So what you can do is you can just quickly go around and map out all of the facilities. This is government. That one is Council of Churches. and so forth. There we go, and fleet. So by putting those symbols on, you now can have a very quick representation of what each planet's capabilities are. So I could put a fleet on this planet. I might put council of churches on this planet, and so forth. And the grid snap will mean that they automatically snap into the correct place. So that's super easy. I'm just going to quickly create a couple of others randomly around here. Awesome, and so forth. Now, I'm not going to bore you with this. I'm just going to pause now, and I will add some more icons to these various planets. Okay, so we've got all of those symbols now added to the main planets in our sectors. What we can now do is start labeling. To do this, you just click on the Add Text tool, and you can type in the name of some text. We'll call this Gateway 42. 42. That can be a sector, and you can see what we've got. Oops, I've actually not changed the color, so I'm just going to undo that. I'll change our text color to white. Let's add text again, Gateway 42. You'll notice that this lovely environment comes with a great font, which is absolutely perfect for this type of mapping. So I'm labeling all of my sectors first. There you go. Then I might click on my text specs tool here, and I'm going to lower this down to 8 point. And this is the font size that I'll use now for my various planets. So I'm just going to label my planets. As you can see, I'm not being particularly careful with how I name my planets. I'm just basically making up names on the fly. Okay, armed with all of those labels that we've now put on the map, I'm going to click refresh, and that will reapply the style sheets, and you can see they've all got the correct artwork put on them. In other words, they've been faded beautifully down. Finally, what you can now do is put on some additional labels, such as the system name and so forth. Let's just bring up here. We've actually got some tools for that, I believe. System names. Yep, there we go. Let's put the map title on. I'll place it here. And I think we called this Galaxy X, didn't we? Galaxy X. Oh, okay, that's a little large. Let's just move him into the right spot. So I'm going to click Move. I'm going to push the P button to select the previous one, the previous element that we've just added. Click on Do It, and I'm going to move him over here. Galaxy X, and let's click Refresh. There we go. We'll also add in our copyright notice, and we'll put that down the bottom here. Copyright, not 2008, 2007, and StoryWeaver Games. There we go. I personally think that's a little bit large, so I'm going to click on this tool here, which is the Edit Properties tool. I'm going to select that. I'm going to click on Text Properties. I'm going to drop this down to, say, 12 point, which is the same size as the sector font. Click on OK, click on OK. Let's just refresh that. Okay, we've got our copyright notice there. I'm going to use the Move tool, select it, and drag it down here. Last but not least, let's put a scale bar on here, and the scale bar is set correctly for this map. Bingo! Now, wasn't that faster and easier than using Photoshop? Now, of course, you don't get as much flexibility and power, but I'm pretty confident that armed with this toolkit, you're going to be able to build some really nice looking galactic maps. So thank you very much. And a big thank you to Simon and Ralph over at Profantasy for taking the raw resources that we've had and making them available to everybody. I think that mapping is a great hobby. I think role-playing is a great hobby. And it's just wonderful that we have got a fantastic group of people like Profantasy who will share this information and make it available. So please support them. In addition, when you do create maps, please send them up to the StoryWeaver Facebook fan page, and we'd love to look at these. As we grow out the high space galaxy and all the adventures that we're going to be having there, it's just going to be wonderfully exciting to see what you guys can create. Thank you very much. Bye.